All right, everything is set up. Here's the game plan. I'm going to use this Hunter's 3 to 12 by 44 first focal plane optic on my Pinty or Pinty, depending how you want to pronounce it, 22 air rifle. This is a PCP, pre-charged pneumatic. It is up to 250 bar rate now, and it should do pretty well. I have the buck rail device on the end here to help with any sound issues, and then I've taken the sleeve off so that I could install that buck rail device. The half by 20 is underneath for the threads, for those of you who are wondering. On top of that, I've got a Vanguard XF. This is their 10 by 42 pair of binoculars, which is going to be recording the image downrange, and I'm going to start with a little bit of paper probably to do a 5er, and for that I'm going to use H&N Barracuda Match. These are not the most expensive pellets, but they're also not the cheapest. I think they're a decent quality for what they represent. The groups looks, adequate for me. I'm shooting at about 31 yards, so it's almost point blank in my opinion. This rifle is much more capable than what I'm going to show you, but this is what I have to offer right at this moment for this location. I have my chronograph sitting out, and we're going to get some chronograph numbers on top of that, so I think everything's ready to go. I'm going to shut up and hit record. Let's do a few groups. By the way, thank you to Alacritas Innovations. If you're shooting PCP, centerfire, rimfire, magnums, it doesn't matter what it is, you should check out Alacritas Innovations. They have a lot of cool extras. In fact, I think there's another extra I need to throw on this for a thumb rest. I just realized I have an extra thumb rest for one of these. And the rest in the rear, the stock rest, is fully adjustable, micro adjustable for gross movement and also micro movement. And you have a mariner's wheel, which is really useful when you're shooting PCPs and you're trying to get, really decent groups. Let's see if we can keep this one under an inch at 30 yards with those Barracudas. Okay, here's what I did. I shot 3 shots just to bring the consistency into game. I pretty much always, every time I pump it up all the way to max bar, then I back it off with 3 shots, and I'll consider those my fouling shots. Then I'm ready to go from there. So with those 3 initial shots out of the way, then I did 10, and here are my numbers. If you can't see that, I'm gonna read this to you. So 13 shots total, and even with those initial kind of bleed off shots, my average velocity was 817, so that's pretty good. This projectile weight, that's a 21.14 grain pellet, and I was getting 817. That is either about at velocity, maybe even above advertised velocity. I'm very impressed with that. That's super. It's not very loud with the can on there. Again, thank you, Terry from Buck Rail, for throwing that out. It does a really good job. That's a modular can. It's one of his newer cans that he has, and you can break it down and make it smaller if you are good with a smaller footprint. For me, I kept it full size, and I'm getting full ability and suppression out of that. Normally with that off, it's not too loud, but it's not city friendly, so I would definitely consider looking at buck rail if you need something. I'll have something down in the comments for you. If you were going to get one of these, definitely head over to Terry's site, look up some of his cans. So my minimum was 813, my max was 824, 13 shots, and that gives me, this is what is just hard to believe, my SDs are 2.7. Under 5, in fact, under 3 for my SDs. That is wild. I have never had numbers like that, not with my best rimfire, not with my best centerfire. 2.7 SDs, and my ES is only 11.2 for 13 shots, including those initial kind of bleed-off shots, as I'm calling them, just to stabilize things. That is really good. This guy right here is doing what a lot of $300 and $400 guns can't do. I'm very, very impressed. This is so affordable, guys. It is ridiculously affordable. You can afford to get this and a decent pump and perhaps do better than you would with some other PCPs that are twice, maybe 3 times the price. Certainly better in the department of the trigger and some of the features, including the reliability of the magazine. The magazine has been very good. Not to mention, you get kind of a nice stock on this one. You get a really decent gauge. It seems to be accurate. It lines up. The numbers are good. You get a 250 bar tube under here, which gives me plenty of shots. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And you can thread it up, and so you can do quiet guy stuff. I really am impressed. This is better than I thought. I thought it would be good. I have a few friends who told me this is very good. I think it's even better than anticipated. The Hunter's optic for a first focal plane 3 to 12, this is really holding up its end of the bargain. I like it. Seems to be very reliable. The mills underneath are not something that I'm necessarily using right now, but I do dial with it, and it seems to track and go where it's supposed to go, which is good news. I needed to know that this thing would actually dial appropriately, and lift to operate turrets on a Hunter is a good idea. Tracks where it's supposed to go. Tactile, feels good, sounds good, looks good. And the reticle dot is a nice size. Okay, I've got a different can on at the moment, so now I'm going to try some exactly 25 yards. I grabbed the Maven. Really great rangefinder, by the way. The Maven RF1 7X, really great rangefinder. I'm exactly 25 yards, and I'm going to put a little bit on paper to re-zero this, and then I'll move over to steel, and we'll see what we can do with a KYL. Alrighty, there were 5 of those H&N Barracuda match. Those are 21.14 grainers. And they may not be the most precise in this gun, but they still shoot pretty good, and they're fairly affordable compared to some other pellets. And so I choose to use those, and the grouping is a decent grouping. It's under an inch. I think with this particular can, it might change a little bit of the point of impact, and I'm going to just quick change that 0, and then we will move over to the KYL after correcting my 0. But otherwise, groups have been really stable out of this. And depending on what ammo I'm using, you can see about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch groups a lot of times for 5-shotters after your initial first string, while everything settles down and you settle down. There's a whole bunch of information on here, but I'm going to be pretty quick and summarize it for you. Basically what I'm seeing is with different cans, it does affect trajectory, it affects group size, and some of the plastic threaded cans just don't seem to hold consistently. The metal threaded cans, standard cans, do work a lot better. From what I can tell, Terry's cans over at Buck Rail are kind of the best option so far. Some of my other cheaper cans just affect and deflect the trajectory a little bit. So whether it has the can on or off, the worst groups, even in the wind, are looking like about 1/2 inch at 25 yards. And when I take the can off with good ammo, I'm seeing 5-shot groups that look like that. That's with H&N, the 21 grain projectile. Surprisingly, so this was with the can on with the Crosman, not very good. I'm not sure exactly what was going on there other than wind, but I did play around with that more, and I think generally it was the can, because when I took it off, the Crosman can still group, I would say sufficiently, under an inch, about 1/2 inch at 25 yards. But if you're looking for that precision result, you're going to need a better can, like a full metal can, or no can at all. And then I'm seeing about an 1/8 inch center to center group. That's very, very tight, under 1/4 inch at 25 yards. That's really good performance at any price point with a 3 to 12 optic, mind you. I just want to pause for a second to reiterate, I'm impressed at how much, with that foot-pounds energy, what's coming out of this little 177, or this 22 rather, caliber gun. It does have enough to swing some of those around pretty good, and it definitely would do well on varmints. I can tell this has some authority downrange because I shoot that target all the time with rimfire powder burners, and this is still giving some pretty considerable effort, and it's much, much quieter than a standard rimfire. Okay, no misses, all hits in one string like that. I'm impressed. A lot of rimfires can do that with match ammo and a good trigger, and that's not super impressive at 25 yards. Usually 50 yards is when I would do that. But for a budget, I mean a real budget PCP, to be knocking it out of the park like that on a semi-windy day with not the most precise ammo, good ammo, but not the most precise, this thing has serious potential. It's a really nice trigger. It's not creepy, but it is kind of two-stage-ish, and it's got a nice clean break. It's predictable. And shooting through this Hunter's 3 to 12, it's not like I'm using a high-powered optic. I'm using a relatively low-powered optic, the larger style reticle. I'm very impressed, and I'm really pleased with the performance that I'm seeing so far. Okay, now I'm looking at 50 yards. I'm not exactly sure where these are going to go at 50 yards. I don't have current data for this, but I should be able to walk them in there and get a few hits, and we'll see what kind of authority it has on that target, whether it can kind of swing it or not. Maybe it'll even swing it all the way around if I hit it well enough on the bottom. Let's find out what happens. That appeared to me a little bit low and left, and with that breeze, left makes sense. Now I kind of know what my hold needs to be. To my surprise, it can actually flip that target around. That still has some decent authority down range, and that would still kill a raccoon, a squirrel, or rabbit reasonably well, because that is kind of one of my standards, is can it flip that thing around? Does it have enough weight to move that thing all the way around? And it did. And so I'm feeling pretty confident with this, although my low data could use some work. Something I'm really appreciating about this system is the fact that the turrets do seem to track appropriately to where I'm moving things. It doesn't seem like it just kind of navigates in that direction. It's actually matching up with the data. That tells me two things: that my position is steady, that the barrel, the velocities are reliable, which I already knew because I was running 2.7 SDs, generally under 10 for ES, for long shot strings. Incredibly impressive. But on top of that, it tells me that the optic is configured appropriately to dial on these. Now, when something doesn't have a zero stop, I'm usually hesitant to say much about dialing on it. This does not have a zero stop, but they are lift to operate, and they do seem to track reliably and accurately, according to my experience so far. Let's do 5 more at 50 and see if I can beat the wind a little better this time. Wow, if it can do this good in the wind, it's a little blustery out. If it can do this good in the wind with that slow velocity, I just can't imagine how well this rifle can do on a really calm day with even better ammo. Optic is doing exactly what I need to. It's a nice, sharp, clean image down there at 50 yards, and then stretching out to 100, it still looks great. Out to a few hundred, it actually still looks very, very good. The image on this, not much for distortion or chromatic aberration. Reticle looks pretty clean and tight. Overall, I really don't have any complaints with the optic. It's kind of a healthy surprise for me every once in a while to get shocked by something that's under $300 that is still a very capable optic, something I can recommend. I can recommend this optic if you're going to use it in similar ways to what I'm doing right now. Next, what I'm going to do is use the Quest B38 shooting sticks with another application, which would be PCP. PCP is a really great application for shooting sticks because I will hunt with this. It's an excellent hunting rifle, hunting optic especially. Shooting off the shooting sticks, I'm going to need a good stability factor, so I'm backing off my magnification down to 8. And I've got my Quest, or my Vanguard hunting bag with me that often comes with me. And one of the things I can do is to use this, an ultralight bag in the rear, and turn my sticks setup into basically a tripod. And change that a little bit, hit record and see what I can do. If I can do that with the poorest quality ammo that I have at 50 yards off the sticks with the can on, which does affect accuracy, precision, repeatability. If I can do that with these few things, I certainly think you can. I'm gonna go ahead and take these away, see how I do with just the sticks. It's just incredible. It's incredible how well a pair of shooting sticks works with this PCP, which is very accurate, very consistent. And then of course the reticle and that optic. It's really optimized for a package together. This works pretty good. Even with sweat dripping my eyes, that's still an impact. All right, briefly, I'm going to try to go over a few of the features. So starting with the stock, it is actually a pretty well done stock. It has a little lift to the cheek here, which is really nice. It wouldn't be sufficient if it didn't have that cheek rest. If you're left-handed or right-handed, it is kind of an ambidextrous cheek pad, so no concerns there. It does drop a little bit more. Some of the American stocks are a little bit more straight. This one has some drop to it, which is probably a little better for offhand shooting in general. So folks who like offhand, I think the actual drop to the shoulder portion is going to be just fine. If you like more of a straight Americanized stock or chassis style, this still has some of that feel because it does have the lifted cheek piece, which that accentuation helps you with the fact that your bore height is a little higher than the tube. You know, normally where the tube is where you would be running your bolt, and that would be like the action, but the action sits on top of this tube, so it's just a touch higher. And then because of magazine height, I run my optic a little higher yet. So this comb is actually comfortable. It's probably perfect for me personally with this optic. This is the Hunter's first focal plane 3-12 by 44. Thank you to Hunters for sending this out to the channel, as well as Pinty, who sent out the rifle. Okay, so from the stock standpoint, it's great. I'm really happy with it. I don't have any complaints about it. There are things that I could think of that would make it even cooler. I don't have any complaints though, and it's great for offhand shooting or off of the bag in general. The rubber butt pad is unnecessary, but is a nice feature. Obviously with PCP, that's not gonna hurt, but the little bit of grip that you get on the end, it's kind of nice. It locks onto my shoulder just fine. As far as any rough contouring or unfinished edges go, it's pretty smooth overall. Internally, the cutting is kind of rough and not cleaned out super well, and I wouldn't expect it to be hand-honed or sanded down internally. That's just too much. You're asking too much for the price point, in my opinion. Looks really good, feels really good. Let's go down to the trigger. Trigger guard is plenty big enough. I'll be able to get in there with gloves in the winter for fall hunting. The trigger itself is excellent, guys. It's one of the better PCP triggers at, let's say, $500 and under that I've used. It's actually quite light, and it's kind of got a two-stage feel to it, and it's under 4 pounds. I'm breaking under 4 pounds with this trigger consistently. It has a crossbolt safety inside of that trigger mechanism, so when it's time to go safe, you can actually just cross that crossbolt in the trigger, and then when it's time to shoot, it's a little bit small, but I really don't have a complaint about it. I like it. It does what it's supposed to do. It actually inhibits the trigger from being pulled physically. So it's not an internal mechanism. It is an external mechanism attached to the trigger. Well done with that. Moving on from there, 250 bar is what you're going to get inside of this. You have your refill station up front. I think you can see that. I've had no issues refilling this, even though I'm using a pump. I am using a pump for this, a hand pump, not an electric pump. I'll use an electric pump next time. But I've been using a hand pump the entire time, filling this up each time. And roughly from the start, from 0 up, it probably took me 30 minutes to go from 0 up to 250 because I don't want to burn out my pump. I could do it faster, but it's just not a good idea to burn out the pump. So I went slower. The actual shot count, I'm getting a solid, really, really solid 30 rounds. And then I start to notice just a little bit of deterioration of consistency, but that's not a problem for me. 30 really solid shots. I think you probably could do a lot more than that. You just have a little bit of change in point of impact, in my experience. The gauge on the end matches my pump, and I have no issues with the gauge at all. Very easy to read, clear, and I just appreciate that so many budget air guns have this kind of stuff nowadays. All these features, years ago, you never would have had it. So 250 bar is great for me. Shot count is great. You could definitely get more than that, but you probably would start to see some more variance. And I just don't like pumping it up from the bottom. So I tend to do 30, 40 shots, and I'm gonna call it right there, go back and fill it up again, even though I could probably get more. The barrel itself, before I get to the action, talk about the barrel is ported. So you have some holes drilled all the way around the barrel here, because this is actually a shroud. It's not the barrel itself. This is a threaded portion, which I'm gonna take off and show you. Kind of a neat idea. I think they did a good job in trying to make this gun quieter from the factory. Not everybody's gonna buy a can. I highly suggest you go to Buck Rail and get one, but this device right here that threads into the actual barrel, okay, this threads in on the end. It has holes with some reverse pressure slots cut into it, and it sends pressure and air backwards as it's exporting from the barrel, and it goes back into the shroud backwards and then goes out these holes back here, and it just kind of diffuses it. It takes some of the snappiness, maybe the crack of the sound barrier if you were able to get there, which with this gun you probably shouldn't be able to, but some of the air anyways was just noisy, and it diffuses some of the air and the sound. So this is a cool idea. I typically don't shoot this on the rifle. I don't keep it on because I don't need to. I usually am going to use a can of some sort, and the can adds just that much more than you can do with one of these, but it's a cool idea. The barrel itself is not tiny. It's actually a decent contour, and I think that adds to some of the harmonic signature being consistent, and that the fact that this barrel can produce tiny groups. So overall, do I recommend this? Yes, I do. Not just for somebody who's into budget gear, but somebody who wants a highly effective tool, nice, lightweight. I think the quality control is definitely there. I'm impressed at the performance and the design. Overall, I didn't see this coming. I thought it would be decent, but I didn't realize how good it would be. And the versatility is there for lots of kinds of people. People who are into target shooting, people who are into hunting, people who are into hunting walks, people who are into stationary hunting. This is gonna fit for all of you guys. So yes, thumbs up. You will see more of this product in many more videos to come. In fact, I'm gonna film some more tomorrow because I've got another video lined up for this. I'm gonna take some animals with it and talk about the performance of this product and what I thought it actually did for me that some other products couldn't do. If you like this video, go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see in the next video so I can make sure to include that as well. Until that time, would you watch some of these videos that I've picked specifically for you?